What's up, internet comic book fam, and welcome back to a new video. We are on the heels of New Comic Book Day, so you know what that means. I have returned from my comic book shop, a stack of comics a little bit higher, wallet a little bit lighter. I think we got some good books for you to review and talk about today and show you the covers I picked up. So without further ado, what do you say we get right into it here? And my first book this week is Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion #1. I feel like with this book, the synopsis says it all. I picked up this Francisco Mabili variant. Before the maker remade Earth 6160, he left Miles Morales the key to reach his new universe. And when Miles' baby sister Billy uses it to travel to the Ultimate Universe, it's up to Spider-Man to save her. But the Ultimate Universe is never safe for any Spider-Man. When the Spot attacks, Miles Morales will have to team up with the all-new Peter Parker, and that's just the start of his journey across Earth 6160. And this book is just very much that. It opens up with Miles swinging through the city, kind of having some internal dialogue reflection where he's talking about his time where he met the Maker. The Maker offered him this card. Miles turned it down, and the Maker pretty much says, you know, we come from the same universe that is not this universe. I'm going home. Would you like to come with me? Miles turns him down. The Maker hands him a card. Miles throws it in the garbage. And later on, we cut to Billy finding that card. Miles' spider sense goes off. This portal opens up, sucking him and Billy in. And at this time, Miles is in a civilian outfit. As he's going through this portal and being transported into the Earth 6160, his costume starts to appear on him. Then we cut to Peter Parker and Richard Parker swinging through the city. Richard, of course, donning that black costume when a portal opens up and the Spot falls through. And then they start battling the Spot. Spot's teleporting them all over the place, making them hit themselves in the face with the web. Then Miles shows up and pretty much handily dispatches the Spot. He runs into and meets Peter and Richard Parker, and Miles kind of looks at them both. He's like, nice to meet you both. And he's like, Venom? And Richard's like, whoa, my name isn't Venom, but I like it, so it is now. So essentially, Miles dons this universe's Richard Parker with the word Venom, or name Venom, since he's in that black suit. And then it kind of ensues where they start helping Miles look for his sister. Miles says, listen, my kid's sister, she's a baby. She's lost in the city. I don't know where she was transported to. We're not from this dimension. We got to find her. And they start ensuing, going through the city to try and find his sister. They have another confrontation with the Spot, and they're pretty much peep-a-tomming in people's windows. And people are just like, man, what are you doing looking in my window? And so Peter and Richard decide to call it a night. Miles continues on with his invisibility, looking for him. And all of the kind of big henchmen in this universe start becoming aware of what Peter Parker is doing. Like Merlin and Nick Fury and the Moon Knight in this world. And so, and of course, Omega Red and Colossus and Magic, and just all the big players in this are kind of aware of this temporal rift. And so are the Ultimates. And so it's all kind of like this race to figure out what's going on as Miles continues to look for his sister. And pretty much it ends with the Ultimates saying we should send these 2 new recruits out to try and find this anomaly. And at the end of the book, we find that the recruits they're talking about are Wasp and Ant-Man, as a giant wasp snatches up Miles at the end of the book. And that's where issue 1 pretty much ends. It's a pretty straightforward issue as far as the startup goes. It was a lot of fun to read. I'm definitely encouraged and definitely interested in the story to see where we go moving forward this and how this ties into everything else in this Ultimate Universe, and especially with the story in Ultimate Spider-Man, which I've been really, really fond of. So if you've been having fun and enjoying that Ultimate Spider-Man book, I would say definitely check out Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion #1 if you haven't already done so. All right, next up, we got Amazing Spider-Man #5, this Joel Jones variant. No hope against the Hobgoblin as Hobgoblin's assault tears Spider-Man's mind and limbs apart. Kingsley unleashes his wrath on those nearest and dearest to Peter Parker, and this is a deadly race against Spider-Man, and Spider-Man can't afford to lose, even as he risks losing his sanity to win. So this was a fun issue. This Amazing Spider-Man book has been so good. Joe Kelly has been absolutely killing it. Pepe Larraza's art is absolutely phenomenal on this book. If the ending of this book is any indication of what's next, is that John Romita Jr. is coming back. Not a big John Romita Jr. fan. He's actually one of my favorite Spider-Man artists, but just feels like I've said it before that since he's drawn Kick-Ass, he can't get out of that blocky head style or body style, and it just makes everyone look like they're running around like Cro-Magnums. But back to this issue here. It opens up with Hobgoblin attacking Rand Industries, and Peter's nowhere to be found. And then he shows up and he ensues in battle with Hobgoblin. They find out about Hobgoblin's plan, that he's spiked all these sodas with this hallucinogen. And as Hobgoblin and Peter are fighting, Peter's old school friend shows up out of nowhere with this mushroom spore, and he hits Hobgoblin in the face with it. And in doing so, Hobgoblin starts to hallucinate and seeing spiders, and that's kind of where the interaction with Hobgoblin ends, as Peter just starts beating the ever-loving crap out of him. Hobgoblin goes flying through a window, kind of, disappears, and then we cut to Peter talking to Norman Osborn and thanking him for all his help, and Peter makes amends with Aunt May. It was a fun story. Again, it was a fun conclusion. Quick little Hobgoblin appearance here as we get into issue 6, which is Black Cat Comes a-Callin', and it looks like, again, if the end of the book is any indication as far as like the preview for the next cover, is John Romita Jr. is coming back to the Amazing Spider-Man, which I'm sad to see because I've really loved Pepe Larraza's time on this book. Hopefully this John Romita Jr. stint is only just for the next arc, and then we'll get back to Pepe Larraza. But hats off to Pepe Larraza for absolutely killing the art in the Amazing Spider-Man, and hats off to Joe Kelly for absolutely crushing it with the first 5 issues of this book. Moving on, we have All New Venom number 7. I've really liked this All New Venom series. I just picked up the A cover. Venom versus Anti-Venom. If Flash Thompson doesn't take down the new Venom, his superiors will make sure it's Dylan Brock who pays the price. But now that Flash knows who the Venom is, can he pull the trigger on the human being underneath? And if he can't, which sinister Spider-Man villain is waiting in the wings to do it for him? Again, fun read here. We open this book up with, we are in the offices of SCAR, the symbiote containment and symbiote and containment something, but it's the acronym is SCAR. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But we're in the offices of SCAR, and the SCAR agent is talking to a masked figure that we don't see right away. Then they're watching kind of the actions of the all new Venom on the screen, and by a couple pages in, you kind of get an idea of who that masked person that they're talking to is. Then, of course, we get the title with all the artists and writers. Then it cuts to Mary Jane talking to Flash Thompson in Central Park, and they're kind of going over their deal about Dylan Brock and how the all-new Venom wanted to cut this deal to have Dylan Brock move in with Mary Jane and Paul, and so that way he can be near him and that Dylan is watched out for and cared for by family, because Venom considers Dylan his son. So they're talking about this deal and how Scar is coming for Dylan, and Scar wants Dylan Brock back, and that they don't know that they can maintain this treaty any longer. So they hatched this plan to stage this fake battle, all while Dylan Brock and Paul are going out for a little lunch date. And then you got Rick Jones and Robbie Robertson going back and forth about Rick potentially thinking he's the new Venom. Robbie knows who the new Venom is, and Rick just kind of like, Robbie, why do I feel like you're playing coy with me, like you know who it is? And Robbie kind of reassures him that he doesn't. And of course, we all know that Rick Jones is a symbiote of his own now. So then as Dylan and Paul are eating, the all new Venom comes crashing down for them. And then Anti-Venom jumps in, and we start seeing this fight ensue between the two of them, this fake battle that they agreed to. And as they're fighting, Scar shows up to kind of break up the fight. And then Scar starts attacking Venom, and kind of, anti-Venom's going with it. And Venom starts fighting back. We see Venom basically form a sickle, not a sickle, maybe, form a spike, we'll say, with his arm, and puts it right through Flash Thompson and kind of just dispatches him away. And everyone's in shock as Rick Jones, as his new symbiote, he's not really a new symbiote, but with the toxin symbiote, or no, with the sleeper symbiote it is, he attacks, and he goes and he's going into the Scar facility, and he's stopped by none other than Otto Octavius. Good read, fun read, lots of amazing Spider-Man stuff tied into it. I've been intrigued by this all new Venom series, and I'm interested to see where it goes next. Next up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets Naruto. And I picked up this variant here. I'm not Moteus Santoloucos. I'm butchered the crap out of that. Picked up this variant here. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Team 7 have defeated the Foot Clan's mutated forces, but the battle is far from over. Using the power of the ooze, Oroku Saki has abandoned his humanity and transformed himself into the monster Shredder. He's pretty much Super Shredder. If you've ever seen like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze, pretty much Super Shredder. As he seeks revenge against Big Apple Village, it's upon our heroes to end Shredder's path of destruction and challenge the cycle of hatred consuming him. The fight you've been waiting for is finally here. Naruto versus the Shredder. And that's very much what we got, is Naruto versus the Shredder, as it opens up with all of the Turtles and Team 7 fighting the Super Shredder. And they are just going rounds with Shredder. Shredder's pretty much taking their hits, shrugging them off. And that's when the Seven Tails comes to Naruto, and he's like, you know what? He's a monster, but you can also be a monster. And let me take over. Let me fight him. And Naruto says, no, I don't need your power. I'm going to fight him on my own and earn my own strength. So they're going back and forth, and they concoct this plan that the Shredder is weak to electricity. So there's a really cool panel of Naruto doing his clone jutsu in this, but so they concoct this plan that Shredder's weak to electricity. So Kakashi Sensei and Sasuke hit him with the Chidori as everyone else kind of jumps in and starts the battle as they're going through it. And Naruto forms this new type of Rasengan, and he calls it the half shell Rasengan spiritual spiral, and hits Shredder with it, taking Shredder out. Naruto hits his catchphrase, believe it. And that's kind of where our story ends, with all of our heroes sharing pizza. But they do leave it open-ended by saying, look, I could still kind of feel some of the Shredder's essence or chi or chakra out there. So he's not completely done yet, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. So they definitely leave it open for a second issue, or a second series or volume. But I've definitely loved this IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto crossover. If you're a fan of the Turtles and a fan of Naruto, I think this is an absolute no-brainer to put on your list, and I really enjoyed it this week as well. All right. Next up, we have Ultimate Wolverine number 6. I picked this Lionel Francis Yu Ultimate Special variant. Reunion with the Opposition. Guest artist Alex Linz Namor takes Wolverine on a psychedelic journey through his mind as familiar and unfamiliar faces of the Opposition are trying to untangle untangle Logan's Winter Soldier programming. And so this is pretty much an internal dialogue of this Ultimate Wolverine / Winter Soldier as he's chained and becomes unchained, and he's kind of wandering through this prison. He gets a visit from a shadowed figure, which I'm assuming is Legion. It looks a lot like Legion. There's some stuff later on about Legion too, but we don't really get confirmation about who it is. And it's just, again, this is all being told through internal dialogue from this all new Wolverine. So Legion kind of sets him free and kind of touches his forehead to bind the chains and unravel the chains of his psyche. And he has visions of the Maker and of Colossus and Omega Red and kind of everyone he's come in contact with since becoming the Winter Soldier. He has a contract, or he has visions of Magique in her demon form, and he's fighting a giant Omega Red, and it's just this really grandiose battles and all that, and it's all internally with his head until you hear a voice say Logan, and he wakes up, and then of course we're in the base of the X-Men. You see, or yeah, the mutants. You see Beast, you see Gambit, you see Sabretooth is there, Polaris is there. You see a lot of familiar faces in there, and they ask him, "Do you remember who you are?" And Logan kind of responds, says, "I'm the best there is," and then puts his claws out at what I do. And that's where the chapter ends. But there's some interesting dialogue, like a note from Dr. McCoy, or Beast in it, and also kind of like a transition of a conversation between Beast and Legion. So it makes me think that that's who freed him. It's a fun book. This book's kind of been all over the place. This was a more fun issue than previous issues. This cover right here is of course, of the Ultimate Phoenix, or Jean Grey. She's being used. We haven't really found out why yet, but it was a fun issue. This issues of this Ultimate Wolverine have been hit or miss. I definitely like this issue, and I liked it enough for it to continue me reading on to see what happens in issue 7. Next up on the docket here, we have Absolute Superman number 8, an all new story. It starts here. A great jumping on point if you're not reading Absolute Superman. This book continues to be a banger. The next big arc of this red hot series begins here as Superman finds himself caught between the opposing forces of the nefarious Lazarus Corp and the mysterious Omega Man. But Kal-El just wants to be left alone in the only place on the planet where he's ever felt safe, a place called Smallville. And so in this issue, it is definitely a big up. We see the Omega Man fighting none other than the Absolute Universe version of Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you want to pronounce it. But in Ra's al Ghul, he's got the League of Shadows. It's kind of like a business, and it's like he's like a giant head of a business, head of a corporation, and we literally see him like chuck a baby off a balcony. It's the weirdest thing. And just to show you kind of like how just absolutely menacing this Ra's al Ghul is. Then we get a shot of back to Smallville, where Superman is standing over Martha's bed as she's dying, or she's got not Parkinson's, but Alzheimer's or something, where she can't remember him. She starts freaking out when she sees him. She keeps calling the name of Jonathan Kent. So he takes off, and as he's walking on the street, he's approached by none other than Lois Lane, who's with one of the Omega Men. And as they're trying to convince Clark that, they're no longer here to hurt them, they want to help him, he makes his entrance because he flies off from hiding. He comes back, and his cape comes out, and he gets shot with a Kryptonian bullet. And Lois thinks that it's the Omega Man that does it, and he said it's not me. And that's when the Peacemaker Corps shows up, and the head Peacemaker of the Peacemaker Corps has been upgraded by Brainiac, and he starts going off, and he starts fighting with Clark, and he shoots Clark a couple more times with Kryptonian bullets. And Clark isn't really understanding what's going on to him, and his suit's telling him, "We're being poisoned from the inside. Our powers are failing. We're losing everything." And as this battle ensues more, Clark kind of unleashes this new power where he gets like this armor upgrade. He gets this helmet, and he gets these spikes across them. It's really interesting how this happens, but he kind of gets this power upgrade, and Peacemaker shoots him a couple more times with those Kryptonian bullets, and all of his new powers start to fade. And as the Peacemaker is going in for the kill, Brainiac kind of shuts him down. And Brainiac says, you forget yourself, Peacemaker. You belong to the Brainiac, and I'm always watching. The Superman is not to be killed. So he kind of takes out the head Peacemaker, and as Clark's bleeding out and his powers have completely failed at this point, the Omega Man decloaks and shields down, and you find out that it's Jimmy Olsen, Agent Alpha. They need a transmission. A portal opens up, and they are Clark and Jimmy are swept away, and the only one left standing there is Lois Lane, who is surrounded by the Peace Marker Corps, and she says, "What the hell have I done?" And that's where it ends. And the next issue is The Secret of the Omega Man. So we got a big cliffhanger ending to find out what's going on, what more is going to happen in the pages of Superman 8. Absolutely love Absolute Superman, and I am not a Superman fan, and I have not been shy about that. I've been very vocal about it, that I am not a Superman fan, but I have absolutely loved Absolute Superman. I think if you haven't read the first arc, go back and do so. But this is a great jumping on point if you just want to get into it as we get ready to tell a big brand new story that holds a lot of implications. And I also did pick up, now this is a book I didn't read and I don't intend to read because I'm behind on it. I picked this up just purely for the cover, because it's already issue 4. It's hard to find the other issues. I'm not reading Pop Kill, but I did love this beautiful J. Scott Campbell Frisky variant on this book, so I picked it up. So of course I included it in here because I'm showing you everything I picked up this week. But that's it. That does it. Those are all the books I picked up. Those are all my reviews. Those are my thoughts on them. Like I said, I really enjoyed every single book I picked up this week and read. I don't feel like there was a weak book in the bunch. They're all intriguing. They're all going to keep me going on to the next issue, and I'm really happy with my purchase this week. But let me know in the comment section below what you picked up this week, what you're reading, what you're really enjoying, maybe a suggestion for me of what I should read, pick up, and review. We can talk about it here because, of course, I'm trying to build a community, and what better than a community than the conversation? So please share your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, what you're reading, what you liked, what you didn't like, all the above. If you like all the content we're giving you on this channel, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn that notification bell on so you know whenever we go live with all new content. I hope you guys watched my best and worst covers video from this week. If you want to watch it because you haven't yet, I will link it here. I will link over here to the placement list so you can see what other books I've picked up over the past weeks and what I'm really enjoying and maybe what I've failed on. And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching this video. As I always say, have a great day, and we'll see you next time around the spinner rack.